Hey everyone, and welcome back to FSI DFS. I am McKinley412, and today we're going to be looking at this 4-game early slate on DraftKings. It's kind of a bummer that they're spread out so much, so we might not be getting the lineups for the Boston-Seattle game at lock, but still possible. And still, I love these early slates. They're probably my favorite. No weathers that concerns that we have to be paying attention to, but still, keep up to date with COVID news and all of that. So let's just dive right into the pitching, and then we'll kind of go game by game real quick. Robbie Ray, right up at the top, 10.4K. He was on fire with his strikeouts, and it kind of continued even into the Baltimore game. Even though he only got 4 innings, he was still able to rack up 8 strikeouts. Now he's going up against Tampa Bay as a lefty. Tampa Bay does struggle a little bit more against lefties. And they can strike out quite a bit. We remember throughout the season that they're a high strikeout team. It kind of dipped for a little bit there, but still, Ray, he's in a great spot. 10.4K, not a bad price for him at all, especially on the slate where I do think there is nice value. Brandon Woodruff, day-to-day, hit a little stomach bug his last time out, so he missed the start. But still, he gets Detroit, a favorable matchup, all things considered. He hasn't played them yet this season, but still. Woodruff, we know what he's capable of. We know what his ceiling can be with his strikeouts. He hasn't been as crazy with the strikeouts as Ray has been, but still, Woodruff, given the matchup and given, kind of the pitcher that he is, I think he's very comparable to Ray on this slate. And given the matchup and given the pricing and everything. So I think it's pretty close. Ray or Woodruff, you're going to have to make the decision between one or the other. Or, I've been finding some builds that I do like where you can jam both of them in. There is value to be found, like I said, on this slate. Gonzalez and Houck, I just don't really have too much interest in these guys. When I was doing some initial builds, I was never really landing on these guys at all. Gonzalez is a lefty going up against Boston. I don't like to target lefties against Boston just because they have so many great right-handed bats. And then Houck, going up against Seattle, we like to target Seattle a little bit. He does have some K upside, but his floor is very, very minimal. And at 8.1K, it's kind of tough to play a guy like that with no floor. Rogers for Miami, I do like Rogers. His game logs do not show it at all, but still, he's getting 80 pitches. We heard after the All-Star break that Miami was going to kind of limit their starting pitchers, but still, 7.5K if a guy is going to get me 80 pitches and he's in a favorable matchup against Washington, if he can just limit some of the walks or some of his control issues, pitching, keeping the counts, all that stuff, he's able to go 5 innings, maybe be in line for the win. He's not a bad pitcher. He's just in this really rough stretch right now. So if you land on him, I think it's fine. He's not my favorite cash play by any means. He's not going to be in my cash lineup. But for GPP, I do think he's somebody that you could be, looking at least. Waka, people are going to see Waka. They're going to see he's going up against Toronto and just absolutely just write him off. I'm not doing that. Waka has been doing fairly well. If you look at the past month, his past 5 starts here, his strikeout rate has been up a lot. And now he is facing Toronto, a right-handed team, and Waka's strikeout rate against right-handed bats in the past month is over 30%. So Toronto, we know, is loaded with right-handed bats. So, he could have the strikeout upside here. Now, granted, this is GPP only. Toronto, they have been mashing the ball. It is insane what their offense has been able to generate this past five games or so. So GPP, but still, I think Waka can be a very interesting play here. He's in great form. And like I said, his strikeout rate against right-handed bats has been through the roof. Manning, no interest in Manning. And Josh Rogers, final guy up here. Lefty, 5.1K. And it's kind of like the Rogers thing. 5.1K, if he's going to get me 80 or plus pitches, look at that. He had a nice quality start in his last time out. He just doesn't really get many strikeouts, so not really much upside there, but still. Rogers, I think, intriguing play. If you're making a bunch of lines, you can definitely throw him in. So let's look towards the bats. We'll just go game by game, actually. We'll go game by game. Miami and Washington, Rogers and Rogers. I said I kind of had some interest in both of these matchups. Yeah, I'm not really too thrilled with the bats here. Maybe you could go, one-offs in either of them. What's Sanchez's price here? He's been hitting very well, 3.1K. If you have some interest in Jesus Sanchez, no issues with that. He's been hitting the ball well, 3.1K, give you some salary that you need. But that game, I'm not too thrilled with the bats. And, I'm fine with the pitchers, but I'm not really thrilled with the pitchers either. It's almost like a game I'm kind of ignoring. Milwaukee's my favorite stack of the day. They're my favorite offense of the day, going up against Manning. And it's because, one, they're just a little bit too cheap. They've gotten their prices bumped up a little bit, but still, I think they're in a nice spot to do very well. Narvaez, 4.7K. He's getting up there, a little pricey, but he's still able to, you can still jam him into your lines. Let me throw in two pitchers here. So just so we can kind of build as we talk. Sure, we'll throw in Woodruff because he's one of the guys. Got to toggle off Milwaukee. Excuse me here. All right, we'll just jam in the top two studs, and I can kind of show you what I'm talking about here. So we got Narvaez. Other guys I would be targeting off of them would be Wong. Tellez is on the IL, so Vogelbach, he could be getting started at 2.7K. He's been betting down in the order, but maybe he gets a bump up in this lefty righty. Yelich, 4.4K. So like 4 Milwaukee guys, you're still at 3.5K remaining for the rest of your bats. It's more than possible to jam these guys in. Now, my second favorite team, I'll just tell you now, it's going to be Boston. They're a bit more pricey. So if you want to jump down off of Woodruff and go to one of the cheaper guys, go to a guy like Rogers at 7.5K. Fine. You land up at 4K. You're able to jam those guys in as well. Throw in one of those cheaper plays, maybe Sanchez that I talked about, and you'll be rolling. So Milwaukee, my favorite stack of the day. Detroit, GPP only, going up against Woodruff. Tampa Bay, again, GPP only, going up against Ray and what he's able to do. Toronto's got a high implied run total. I think they have the second highest run total on the entire slate. They're going to be popular just with their offense they've been generating. They're going to be popular because people still think that Waka is trash. And I agree. I think he isn't very good of a pitcher. He's just in really good form, and it's hard to ignore it. But Toronto's going to be popular. So I still think Waka could be a great leverage spot at pitching and just fading the Toronto bats completely. But if you do go with the Toronto bats, Corey Dickerson down here, 2.9K, he's still too cheap in all those lefty righty matchups. So 2.9K, he could be a nice value play for you as well. But still, I think Toronto, they can get the runs, but they're not my top two. I said Milwaukee's my favorite. Boston, they're going to be my second favorite team. Going up against Gonzalez, Renfroe, 4.1K. When are they going to price this guy up? He's just been mashing the ball. He's got a nice lefty-righty matchup here. Xander Bogaerts, JD Martinez, even Plawecki, he's been hitting the ball pretty well. I think he started last night. Did he? Yeah, he started last night. He doesn't typically get the back-to-back starts, so he's probably not going today. But still, Boston, you can find some cheaper plays in there. Kike Hernandez, 4.2K, not bad. He's totally viable. But I do like Boston here. And Seattle, going up against Tanner Houck, I think they're fine. If you kind of want to separate yourself, I think they could be a nice GPP play. I don't really think anybody's going to be on them. I think everybody's just going to jam in Milwaukee, Toronto, and Boston, or maybe jam in like the cheaper plays over here from Miami and Washington. I think Seattle's probably going to go really under the radar. So if you want them as like a GPP play, I think that's great. They're priced up a little bit, which is the reason why I don't think they're going to gather much ownership, because they're priced comparable to guys like Milwaukee and guys like Boston. But it's not like they're going up against a stud pitcher at all. Like, yeah, Houck can get his strikeouts, but if you look, he's really struggling. He's 0-4 on the season. He's got a ERA that's creeping on up. So Seattle, I think, could be a nice GPP spot for you. Really anybody. JP Crawford, Haniger, Cypher Ants, you know, they're all fine. They're all fine. So that kind of wraps things up with this early slate. So what I'm probably gonna be doing is just paying up a pitcher in cash, and we're just gonna jam in Ray and Woodruff and figure it out from there. Give it a nice Milwaukee stack and figure it out from there. GPP, I think Seattle could be really sneaky. Waka, I think if you want to go real crazy on these small slates, you almost have to go crazy because everybody's going to do the exact same thing. So Waka at 6.6K going up against this Toronto offense, go wild with these 4-game slates. And yeah, so good luck in your contest today, and we will see you in the next video.